From San Francisco to New York, by rail. 7. From New York to London, by steamer and rail. 9_. Total. 80 days. Yes, in 80 days. Exclaimed Stuart, who in his excitement made a false deal. But that doesn't take into account bad weather, contrary winds, shipwrecks, railway accidents, and so on. All included, returned Phileas Fogg, continuing to play despite the discussion. But suppose the Hindus or Indians pull up the rails, replied Stuart. Suppose they stop the trains, pillage the luggage vans, and scalp the passengers. All included, calmly retorted Fogg, adding, as he threw down the cards, 2 trumps. Stuart, whose turn it was to deal, gathered them up, and went on. You are right, theoretically, Mr. Fogg, but practically. Practically also, Mr. Stuart. I'd like to see you do it in 80 days. It depends on you. Shall we go? Heaven preserve me. But I would wager £4,000 that such a journey, made under these conditions, is impossible. Quite possible, on the contrary, returned Mr. Fogg. Well, make it, then. The journey round the world in 80 days? Yes. I should like nothing better. When? At once. Only I warn you that I shall do it at your expense. It's absurd, cried Stuart, who was beginning to be annoyed at the persistency of his friend. Come, let's go on with the game. Deal over again, then, said Phileas Fogg. There's a false deal. Stuart took up the pack with a feverish hand, then suddenly put them down again. Well, Mr. Fogg, said he, it shall be so, I will wager the 4,000 on it. Calm yourself, my dear Stuart, said Valentine. It's only a joke. When I say I'll wager, returned Stuart, I mean it. All right, said Mr. Fogg, and, turning to the others, he continued, I have a deposit of 20,000 at Barings which I will willingly risk upon it. £20,000, cried Sullivan. £20,000, which you would lose by a single accidental delay. The unforeseen does not exist, quietly replied Phileas Fogg. But, Mr. Fogg, 80 days are only the estimate of the least possible time in which the journey can be made. A well-used minimum suffices for everything. But, in order not to exceed it, you must jump mathematically from the trains upon the steamers, and from the steamers upon the trains again. I will jump, mathematically. You are joking. A true Englishman doesn't joke when he is talking about so serious a thing as a wager, replied Phileas Fogg, solemnly. I will bet £20,000 against anyone who wishes that I will make the tour of the world in 80 days or less, in 1920 hours, or 115,200 minutes. Do you accept? We accept, replied Messrs. Stewart, Fallentin, Sullivan, Flanagan, and Ralph, after consulting each other. Good, said Mr. Fogg. The train leaves for Dover at 9:15. I will take it. This very evening? Asked Stewart. This very evening, returned Phileas Fogg. He took out and consulted a pocket almanac, and added, as today is Wednesday, the 2nd of October, I shall be due in London in this very room of the Reform Club, on Saturday, the 21st of December, at 9:15 p.m., or else the £20,000, now deposited in my name at Barings, will belong to you, in fact and in right, gentlemen. Here is a check for the amount. A memorandum of the wager was at once drawn up and signed by the 6 parties, during which Phileas Fogg preserved a stoical composure. He certainly did not bet to win, and had only staked the £20,000, half of his fortune, because he foresaw that he might have to expend the other half to carry out this difficult, not to say unattainable, project. As for his antagonists, they seemed much agitated, not so much by the value of their stake, as because they had some scruples about betting under conditions so difficult to their friend. The clock struck 7, and the party offered to suspend the game so that Mr. Fogg might make his preparations for departure. I am quite ready now, was his tranquil response. Diamonds are trumps, be so good as to play, gentlemen. Chapter 4, in which Phileas Fogg astounds Passepartout, his servant. Having won 20 guineas at whist, and taken leave of his friends, Phileas Fogg, at 7:25, left the Reform Club.